The colors are changing, the leaves are falling, and it's getting cold out. You may be looking for a way to heat your house, heat your garage, heat your workshop. Well, let me tell you what I did. This is the Mr. Heater Blue Flame Ventless Natural Gas Heater. I purchased this 4 years ago, and in this video I'm going to talk about how it's held up over the years, things I like, things I don't like, and a couple of the common questions I get in the comments of the videos on this heater. Any of the products that I'm talking about in this video, I will put links in the description below. They are affiliate links, so if you use them, I do get a few pennies, and I do appreciate the support. Doesn't cost you anything more. Let's get into it. This heater I purchased on Amazon about 4 years ago, and I've been using it ever since. I absolutely love it. It has completely changed the way I'm able to work out in my garage. Previously, it would take 2, 3, 4 hours for me to heat up my garage using those small space heaters, or I could use the kerosene heater, which would smell terrible, and it's not good for you. This 30,000 BTU unit is rated for 1,200 square feet, so way more than I have, but it does an amazing job. And it heats it up at over a degree a minute. So within 30 minutes, I can go from 35 degrees all the way up to 70 to give a nice, comfortable environment for me to work. I know one thing that I hate when I'm working is cold hands. When your hands are cold, you can't use tools right, you can't grip things. So having nice warm hands is the key to working well, at least for me. Now, one of the things you're gonna notice is these fans on top. This is not something that comes with the heaters. It's something that I purchased separately and modified to add on to it. And I've made several other videos about it, and it really helps this heater give the heat off and push it. Mr. Heater does offer an upgraded fan that goes in the back of it. And what it actually does is it blows air in that comes out through these vents. I do not recommend it. It is terrible. Let me repeat, it is terrible. It blows very little air, it's extremely noisy, and it's just not efficient because it's forced to blow the air through these vents. Whereas I took these AC Infinity muffin fans on top. They're extremely quiet and extremely efficient. You don't have to come up with a way to rig them up like I did. I just used some small metal brackets. I shortened the wires and then the controllers on the side here. But these fans, I believe, blow about 225 CFM when they're turned up all the way. Most of the time I don't even have them turned up past medium, but they really disperse the air and they're very quiet. And most garages or other types of workshops have some other type of air circulation, so it may not be an issue. This is the 4th year that I've been using the heater, and I actually just had to replace the AAA battery for the igniter for the first time, so that's lasted quite a long time. And that's another plus to these heaters. They don't need electricity. Back 3 years ago, and I actually made a separate video on this, we had a very bad blizzard here in Buffalo. The wind chill was negative 20, 30, 40 degrees. The actual air temperature was about 0, and I lost my power for 69 hours. Without this, I would have lost my house, perhaps more. I'm sure I would have survived. My house got down to 44 degrees, and at that point I went out to the garage, took this into the house, disconnected the dryer, and then used it to heat my house. All my pipes would have froze if that wasn't the case. In some of the other videos that I've made on this heater, I've had a lot of questions in the comments, and I'm going to answer some of the most common ones. The first being, how do you clean it? So I do store this in my basement in the summer when I'm not using it, and when I take it out, all I do is blow it off with the air compressor. It does get a little dusty down in my basement, and of course it does get dusty here in my workshop. I do a lot of woodworking in here in the winter. All I do is blow it out with an air compressor. I'm a little more careful when I get down into where the igniter is and where the actual gas comes out. I don't want to put too much pressure on there, but for the most part, I just blow it all off with an air compressor. Another question I get a lot is, how much does it cost to run it? And the answer is, I have absolutely no idea. When I'm using this in the winter, the furnace in the house is running. It also uses natural gas. Some weeks I use this a lot, some weeks I don't do too much work out in my garage, so I really can't answer that. But what I will say is having a flame from natural gas is probably the most efficient way to heat a room. So with that being said, probably very efficient for what it is. Another common question I get is, does it smell? And that's a tough one to answer because smell is very subjective. And I'm gonna use this analogy. When you eat asparagus, does your pee smell? Mine does. Not everyone's does. And more importantly, not everyone actually has the ability to smell the smell of urine after you eat asparagus. So to me, this doesn't bother me at all. I know a lot of people are very sensitive to smell. I'm not one of those, I guess. Could I tell you if this was on when my eyes were closed? Absolutely, I could tell you it's on, but it doesn't bother me at all. I will say that if I'm using the table saw, router table, a sander, and I'm creating a lot of dust in the air, even though I have pretty good dust control in my garage, if I'm making a lot of dust, I will start to smell a little bit of a burning smell. And especially if I'm using aerosols, which are not good to use in a small environment, I will turn it off if I'm going to be spraying anything, if I'm going to be creating a lot of dust, because it will give a little bit of an odd smell. The good thing about it is though, it creates so much heat that turning it off for 10-20 minutes in the winter doesn't really do too much to lower the temperature. I turn it back on once the dust is settled, once the aerosols are out of the garage. And the last thing I want to mention is safety. Yes, this is called a ventless or vent-free heater. It does not mean that it doesn't burn up oxygen. There is a flame, it's going to burn up oxygen. You do not want to take this into a small sealed room and turn it on and sit in there with it. Don't be stupid. Yes, it's a flame. Yes, they have oxygen depletion sensors in them. Yes, I have a carbon monoxide detector in my garage. My garage is also drafty, which is kind of a good thing, so there's always a little bit of a source of fresh air coming in, but you do not want to get one of these big units, put it in a small 10 by 10 foot room with no source of oxygen, and sit in there with it on. So read the directions, take the precautions, and this heater will probably be great for you. They do make these in a radiant style, infrared, and also the blue flame. There's benefits to each one. I'll put a little picture up here so you can see the comparison between the two. And they also make these in a 10, 20, and 30,000 BTU unit based on the size of the room that you need to heat. Odds are you can find one that's going to be suitable for you. Like I said, I got one that's way overkill for what I need, but at the same time, I just keep the thermostat lower on it. If you have any questions about this product or any of the other similar heaters, I may be able to answer them. I'm no expert, but I do have some experience with it. So let me know in the comments if there's anything you're wondering. And as I said, there are affiliate links in the description below. I do appreciate the support. I'll put a link to these fans as well. Awesome fans, very highly rated. Pick yourself up a pair. They have many other great fans that you could be using for all different sorts of stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Not everyone can actually smell the asparagus. I don't even know how you say it.